Pepsi is among the most popular soft drinks brand in the world. It makes around $80 billion in revenue every year. But behind this successful empire lies a story of loss, regret, bankruptcy and frustration. Now grab your cup of cola as we dive into the story of Pepsi. Pepsi was originally invented by Caleb Bradham in the year 1893. Bradham was born into a wealthy family which allowed him to join Maryland School of Medicine. Then disaster struck and his father went bankrupt, forcing him to leave Maryland School of Medicine. He returned to North Carolina as a primary school teacher and eventually opened a drugs company named Bradham Drugs Company. Now, just like other drugstores of that time, Bradham decided to have a cola fountain in his drugstore. All cola fountains at that time mostly served Coca-Cola. Bradham disliked Coca-Cola owing to the fact that they added addictive substances in their drink. Bradham created his own drink to serve instead of Coca-Cola. It had the similar taste and provided the same kind of refreshment. The locals initially called it Brad's drink, which Bradham later renamed as Pepsi-Cola. It was renamed Pepsi because it was advertised to relieve indigestion, and cola referring to the cola flavor, and thus came the name Pepsi-Cola. In 1903, Bradham moved the bottling of Pepsi from his drugstore to a rented warehouse. That year, Bradham sold around 8,000 gallons of syrup. Next year onwards, Pepsi was sold in 6-ounce bottles and sales increased to around 20,000 gallons. In 1909, automobile racing pioneer Barney Oldfield became the first celebrity to endorse Pepsi. During this time, sales were taking off and Pepsi was enjoying huge success. The phrase delicious and healthy was being used on all advertisements of Pepsi. Business was booming for Pepsi and it was enjoying exponential growth. By 1910, Pepsi had opened 240 franchises across 24 states. Pepsi was gaining in popularity and sales were rising up. It was creating a substantial share in the market for itself. At this point, Pepsi was doing pretty well in the market. But little did they know that they were about to go bankrupt. The company was about to hit lows that it had never faced before. In 1914, World War I had started. The war was taking a toll on the lives of people all around the world. All industries were getting equally affected by the events that were taking place. Now, it's important to understand that during a war, food supply is available for general public unlimited. Rationing prevails for most items, resulting in exponential increase in prices. Sugar was among the key ingredients of Pepsi. The wrong speculations in the price of sugar led to Pepsi suffering huge losses and eventually going bankrupt. The cost of sugar before the war was $5 a pound, and when rationing hit, it went up to almost $20 a pound. Now, the price of a commodity during rationing usually keeps increasing day by day. Therefore, Caleb Bradham had speculated the prices to increase even more and thus purchased a huge amount of sugar. This was considered a smart move as they speculated the prices to shoot up. Thus, from their point of view, they would be saving a lot of money. But the prices did not increase as expected. They rather decreased. The prices went down to just $3 a pound. Due to this one wrong speculation, Pepsi suffered huge losses. The losses resulted in eventual bankruptcy. Eventually, Caleb Bradham was left with no choice but to sell Pepsi. Pepsi's assets were initially bought by a man named Roy McGargle, who eventually sold it to Charles Guth. Charles Guth was the president of Loft Inc. This time, Pepsi had only one bottling plant and was struggling. On one hand, Pepsi was struggling and making losses. On the other hand, their competitors Coca-Cola was thriving. Coke had managed to survive the 1929 stock market crash and had signed a deal with the US government which let them sell Coke overseas. Looking at the huge success of Coca-Cola, the bosses at Loft Inc. Corporation came up with their so-called master plan: sell Pepsi to Coca-Cola. And hence, between 1924 and 1933, 3 attempts were made to sell Pepsi to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola refused the offer on all 3 occasions, and Pepsi was now on its own. The Great Depression severely affected the country and the economy was in ruins. Most industries at this time were suffering. But for Pepsi, this was a blessing in disguise. The new owners reformulated the drink and also hired marketing experts. They did a good job in figuring out the wants of the people and then used that information in marketing Pepsi. Due to the economic situation of the country, the people wanted to keep their expenses in check. Hence, they preferred commodities which were cheaper in price but also more beneficial. Pepsi was pretty quick in studying the situation and replaced their 6.5-ounce bottle with a 12-ounce one, but at the same price. This meant that the people could get double the amount of drink but at the same price. This made Pepsi quite popular among the consumers and everybody started to buy Pepsi, and hence the sales of Pepsi shot up. Popular radio jingle Nickel Nickel, Pepsi encouraged price-conscious consumers to double the volume the nickels could purchase. Coming at a time of economic crisis, the campaign succeeded in boosting Pepsi's status. It became popular among the folks, especially children. By 1938, Pepsi-Cola's profits doubled. But when on one hand Pepsi was enjoying success, on the other hand Loft Candy Company was nearly bankrupt. They had sued Charles Guth for possession of Pepsi-Cola Company, and eventually Charles Guth had to give up possession and had to step down as the president of Pepsi-Cola. Alfred Steele became the next president of Pepsi-Cola, and his actress wife Joan Crawford became the spokesperson. Crawford also had images of the soft drink placed prominently in several of her later films. By the 1960s, Pepsi had gained a significant share in the market and was looking eye to eye to Coca-Cola. After Steele's death in 1959, Crawford was appointed as the director of Pepsi-Cola, a position she held till 1973. In the 1970s, the rivalry between Pepsi and Coca-Cola continued to heat up. Pepsi started conducting blind taste tests in stores in what was called the Pepsi Challenge. These tests suggested that more consumers preferred the taste of Pepsi rather than Coca-Cola. The sales of Pepsi started to climb and Pepsi kicked off the challenge across the nation. This became to be known as the Cola Wars. Pepsi was the first American brand to start business in Russia. Pepsi struck a barter agreement with the then government of the Soviet Union, in which Pepsi was granted exportation and Western marketing rights to vodka in exchange for importation and Soviet marketing of Pepsi. This exchange led to Pepsi being the first foreign product sanctioned for sale in the Soviet Union. Coca-Cola followed suit and soon entered Russia after the Cold War ended, and then started expanding itself. But things went serious in 1975 when Coca-Cola accused Pepsi of copyright infringement. In the late 1900s, PepsiCo kept expanding itself. In 1988, it gained entry into India by creating a joint venture with the Punjab government-owned Punjab Agro-Industrial Corporation. Eventually, when in 1991 the laws in India were liberated, PepsiCo bought out its partners and ended the joint venture. In recent times, Pepsi is the best-selling drink of Oman, India, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Pepsi is enjoying huge success in the market, making over $80 billion in revenue every year. Pepsi's marketing team has been doing a commendable job. Pepsi's investment in the sports sponsorships have been paying off largely. Pepsi currently has official sponsorship deals with NFL and NBA. They had also sponsored the Indian Premier League in the past. Pepsi has the first global sponsorship deals with the UEFA Champions League, the biggest club football competition in the world. Pepsi has also sponsorship deals with athletes like Lionel Messi, who appear in their advertisements. These investments have played a major part in Pepsi's growth in recent years and the success it has enjoyed recently. This was a story of Pepsi, from being served in a pharmacy to being one of the biggest players in the soft drinks market. This was how Pepsi became Pepsi. Now comment down below your thoughts about this video, and if you liked it then like and share it with your friends. And if you want more such content then subscribe to Propix Media. Thank you.